My name is Matthew Schwab, and I am the current president and CEO of Kraken Energy. Kraken Energy is a junior uranium exploration and development company focused solely on the U.S. market and U.S. assets at this time. As I'm sure most of the crowd knows, over the past few years, we've seen a nearly unprecedented rise in the global demand for uranium, and in conjunction with that, we're seeing an ever-growing increase in the deficit around the world as well. Something that a lot of people might not know is that the United States is actually one of the most drastic examples of that deficit, where they require anywhere from 45 to 65 million pounds per year to power their current nuclear fleet of 90-plus reactors. But in contrast to that, they only produce roughly 5 to 10,000 pounds annually domestically. With the option or the opportunity for imports slowly dropping off as we see production drop off around the world, the only way that I see of bridging this gap is to very aggressively move forward with new opportunities for domestic uranium production in the United States. That being said, Kraken Energy is very well situated with 4 high-grade assets in the United States right now, 3 in Nevada, 1 in Utah. I do like to point out that the 3 in Nevada are past producers from the 1950s. They were shut down well before their prime, and they do have non-compliant existing reserves on the properties as well as advanced infrastructure in place. Of course, we're only looking at opportunities that have regionally high grades. Across our properties, we have average historic production grades up to 0.25% U3O8, surface samples up to 6% U3O8, and strike lengths mineralized potential up to 17.5 kilometers. Of course, I mentioned that we do have significant infrastructure on the properties currently. They're all road accessible to and throughout, as well as having access to electricity and water, despite being in the deserts of Nevada and Utah. And we're definitely focusing on building up the economic potential on our properties through the combination of other commodities of interest. In Nevada specifically, we have opportunity for gold, silver, copper, nickel, and molybdenum, where in Utah we have great potential for vanadium as well. And I really do think that the experienced team that we have in place gives us the best potential to really make the strategic goals of our company a reality. Jumping into the properties, first off is Hart's Point. It's the most recent addition to the company. It's centered right in the middle of the Colorado Plateau, which we like to call the Athabasca Basin of the United States. Reason being, it's produced almost 600 million pounds of uranium since the 1950s. Beyond that, we're only 30 kilometers to the west of the Lisbon Valley Anticline, which is a direct geological analog to Hart's Point, and produced 80 million of that 600 million pounds of uranium all the way up until 1989 at an average grade of 0.3%. Zooming in a little bit closer, just to the west of our property, another 300,000 pounds of uranium was produced, also at an average grade of 0.3%. And the very important point being that the production to the west of the property and at Lisbon Valley was produced from what's called the Shinle Sandstone Formation. Now, on our property at Hart's Point, we have 3 historic oil wells that intersect the Shinle Formation at depth and show off-scale radioactivity through the entirety of the formation. Beyond that, I had the pleasure of visiting the property in June of last year. And it was actually as simple as walking out of the truck with my scintillometer turned on, walking up to the exposed outcrop of the Shinle Formation at the base of the canyon and having it screaming at 40,000 counts per second. So I can safely say that this is the most de-risked exploration project I've ever had the pleasure of working on. We did kick off drilling a week ago on the property, so we're very excited to move forward, and I'm really looking forward to having some great news to share with the market in the coming weeks. The Apex Uranium Project was the original flagship of the company for great reason. It was the largest past producer of uranium in the state of Nevada at an average grade of 0.25%. Property is a little over 6,000 hectares right now, so a lot of extent. As you can see in this slide right here, it kind of outlines the non-compliant resource that's still on the property. Looking at grades of 1.3% over 3 meters and up to 15 meters at 0.5%. When we get the permit in place, planned for Q2 of this year, initial focus will be to get out there and bring this into a more compliant state and use that as the baseline for more advanced exploration across the rest of the property. Looking at the opportunity for advanced exploration, what you see there is that 17.5 kilometer trend of mineralization at or near surface across the property. The map that you can see is actually the VTEM survey that we flew. Reason for that is that at the Apex mine and the historic Lowboy mine on the southeast side, we see a very distinct graphitic and sulfidic alteration zone directly associated with the uranium mineralization at both sites. As you can see in the map there, that geological contact does continue across the entirety of our property at Apex. Beyond that, we've done additional airborne radiometric surveying, surface radon surveying, and additional prospecting, and outlined multiple zones of mineralization at surface, as I said, across that trend. We do have line of sight, as I said, to have the drill permit in place for Q2 of this year, and we really look forward to getting out there to start exploring around the original Apex mine in early summer of this year. I did mention that our properties do have additional potential through the presence of other commodities of interest. Apex is a perfect example. It actually started off its life in the 1930s as a silver mine with grades of up to 7,300 grams per ton gold or silver, up to 15 grams per ton gold more recently. And a very important point is the continuity of uranium mineralization, where a 250-ton bulk sample was taken off the property and averaged over 0.7% U3O8. Moving into Garfield Hills, we wrapped up the maiden drilling program on this property in March of 2023. Very encouraging results. Property is only 12 kilometers east of Hawthorne, Nevada, which serves as a perfect logistical base for the property. It sits a little over 1,100 hectares right now. There is a 2% NSR on the property, but we can acquire half of that back for a one-time cash payment. Here's just a snapshot of some of the results that we're seeing off the property right now. So we are seeing in drill core results between 0.03 and up to 0.26% U3O8 over intervals of 12.5 to 14 meters. More excitedly for me as a geologist is that we're now seeing soil samples on the property over 1% U3O8. I've never seen that on any of the exploration properties I've worked in through my career so far. So it's a direct indication of more mineralization beneath the surface. We do admittedly have to wrap our minds around the geology a little bit more before we do plan that phase 2 drilling program. But what you can see here now is across a 4.5 kilometer strike length, confirmed mineralization on surface again between 0.16 to over 1% U3O8. So we are very excited about this property and really looking forward to planning that phase 2 drilling program later this year. Huber Hills is last but not least. It is the smallest of our properties, 2 kilometers east of Mountain City, Nevada, again, great logistical base. It does encompass the historic racetrack open pit mine, which produced at an average grade of 0.24% before being shut down prematurely again as the AEC took away those incentives back in the 1950s. More recently, we took a sample of 0.237% U3O8 off the property this summer, and there were a couple trench samples taken in the early 2000s that came back at 0.102 and 0.149% U3O8. So again, earlier stage, but we are very much looking forward to having a phase 1 drilling program on this property later this year as well. Here's a snapshot of just the 4 properties that we have, the progress that we've made, and where we're going with them in the coming year. So as I said, Garfield Hills, we wrapped up that maiden drilling program with very encouraging results, and we're looking forward to a phase 2 drilling program later this year. Apex, finally, we have line of sight on that drilling permit around the original Apex mine, and we're looking forward to putting that in place in summer of this year. Huber Hills, again, earlier stage, we have to put in place some of those baseline radiometric and magnetic surveys, understand the geology, and look forward to planning a phase 1 drilling program out there in the end of 2024. And Hart's Point, the immediate focus for the company, as I said, we kicked off that maiden drilling program a week ago, and it's looking exciting. We're moving ahead very aggressively, and things are looking great on the property so far. Here's a look at the capital structure of the company. Admittedly, we've been beaten up by the market over the past few weeks here, but I think that presents a very good buying opportunity as we move forward with drilling, with great potential for a new discovery at Hart's Point. Very clean share structure in the company with only 58 million shares outstanding, fully diluted. A little under $3 million in the treasury right now, so we are fully funded for exploration at Hart's Point and Apex moving into 2024. And very loyal shareholder base with over 20% of the company held by management and close insiders. So in summary, something that I can safely say is that today, after a year and a half with the company, I am more confident than I was the day I signed on with the company in the potential of our projects, in the chances of success of finding a new discovery or multiple new discoveries moving forward into 2024. We have significant access that we can rely on to fast track our properties through the exploration stages as well as permitting. We are focused on the additional economic potential of the other commodities that are on our properties and our projects as well. And I do think, as I stated before, that we do have the right experience with the team that we have in place right now to really have the best chance possible of making our strategic goals a reality. So I look forward to any questions that you might have. You can find us at our booth. We'll be wandering around for the next 2 days. So I look forward to chatting with any of you. Thank you very much.